All right, let's go ahead and talk about the top 10 worst games of the year because, as great as it was for new releases, there was just as many bad ones this year, I think. Some all time classics. So, I don't actually like waste time or money playing bad games. And to me, my criteria for a bad game, it can also be like what was your hype level and anticipation for it going in and how did it meet that. So that's why the the top 5 are going to be the controversial ones. These are my notes, by the way, on a fucking envelope, turning into my dad. So yeah, I was only gonna do 5 because I didn't want to like do the easy low hanging fruit ones, but there was enough to where like I guess I could round out a whole top 10. So the bottom 5 were gonna be the obvious ones this year. Uh, and I guess you could argue one that was pretty high actually because was anticipating it was Gollum because I love Lord of the Rings. You know, it was, the more you heard about it before it came out, you could tell it was like, oh, this isn't looking good. And it was a classic of a bad game. I almost bought it a few times this year because it's always been on sale, but I think I might eventually play it. The fucking Kong, the Skull Island game, that looks rough, dude. Like a little, looks like a cartoon. uh, it's like just barren environments and shitty combat. Oh, what was that game that just came out? The day before, the day after, whatever the fuck. The fucking scam game where the company like sold a bill of goods in the trailers and then packed up and left when they sold sold all their copies. Um, yeah, that's crazy, dude. I mean, a lot of people were anticipating that, so that was definitely like one of the worst games of the year for sure. Oh, the Walking Dead game. And honestly, like after watching gameplay of it, it doesn't look that bad for like. It, it reminds me of a 360 game, kind of like the Saw game a little bit, just a lot worse. Uh, and I think the premise of it's kind of funny. At least like it's like using the main characters, right? Because a lot of these Walking Dead games don't even have that going for it. And then a fifth one, I guess Forspoken would have to be on there, just because of the cringy dialogue and basic ass gameplay. Although, like, on paper you wouldn't think it because it's like the look of it looks like a AAA game, but who gives a fuck, dude? That shit's trash. Um, but yeah, so here's my like real. So here's like the nitty gritty, the real top 5 worst games of the year, the controversial ones. Number 5. All right, so for the fifth worst game, I gotta go Spider-Man 2. I did enjoy the first Spider-Man game. I love Spider-Man, of course. It wasn't quite as good as any of the Arkham games, but it was definitely high quality. The swinging mechanic was a lot of fun, even though it was kind of like the whole game. The combat was not great. The enemies were not great. The fucking Mary Jane and Miles missions were not great. But overall, it was a good game, and I enjoyed it. I did see the Venom gameplay stuff, and then they patched them out. You could like bust out of a window or some shit and go into the city, and Venom could like get on a bicycle and shit. And they patched that shit out. But I've seen like the real gameplay of him, of how he plays, and it looks pretty fun. But to me, that doesn't warrant playing this shitty story with a shitty Spider-Man and the Mary Jane self-insert, the big old square jaw and shit. I don't want to play those missions. I don't give a fuck about Miles. They changed Spider-Man's face and made him into a bitch and a quitter. Uh, so yeah, fuck Spider-Man 2. I'll play it when it's on PS Plus or whatever. Number 4. I was almost gonna say Max Payne 2, fucking Alan Wake 2. Like I've said before, I was a big fan of Max Payne and Remedy, but they've like progressively made these like very similar shitty like atmospheric third person shooters. I played Alan Wake American Nightmare this year for the first time. And to me that at least is a lot looks a lot more fun than what's in Alan Wake 2. You don't even get to play as him for half the game. Like, come on, man. Not to get it too deep into it, but oh, and then the crazy like at the Game Awards, the fucking song and dance that they did and shit. I don't know what their obsession is with the live action stuff. Like even in Max Payne, they had like the comic book panels, but at least that was still like made to look like artwork. It wasn't like, but I guess it did have like a live action look. But to me, they're never gonna like capture that magic again. They're definitely like catering to like the woke crowd again. That word again. I don't know. They're catering to a certain type of people that would play Alan Wake 2 and think it's great. And that's not me. Number 3. Alright, to me this is an interesting one because I don't know how many other people were like super hyped to play this game. But Exoprimal, being a huge Dino Crisis fan and Capcom fan, like I know they don't necessarily have much to do with each other than having dinosaurs, but I thought there would be like maybe a little more connection there other than having a chick with red hair. But yeah, it got me to play Dino Crisis 1 and I bought expensive ass Dino Crisis 2 this year. And I was super hyped to play it. Oh, and I played that what is it? Dino Stalker? I bought that, but I didn't actually end up doing like a video on it. And I still kind of want to get like a light gun and see if I can try and capture that somehow. But yeah, what we got with Exoprimal is fucking stupid, dude. Like you have to beat the whole campaign before you can actually like just jump in and play a match. The actual gameplay is like kind of fun, but it's also like confusing and suffers from the same shit that like other games have where like people go AFK or they just fucking suck. It's like that shitty mode that Overwatch 2 added, and it's like they're not even like do anything with it. You don't hear them like updating it or like, you know how they do with Monster Hunter. They have those like online, you know, presentations and shit. It's just a game they like made, and I think it's just something that they made for Microsoft to put on Game Pass. But it still doesn't explain why they didn't just make it easy to jump in and play a match against people. It's fucking stupid. Number 2. So yeah, number 2 worst game gotta be Starfield, dude. I almost bought a fucking Xbox X for this shit. I saw one at the store, and I saw one at Target a few months ago, and I got the itch to buy a new console, but I'm so glad I didn't, dude. I played the cloud version, which the cloud is actually pretty impressive to me. I can see why Sony's like butthurt about them wanting to control that space, because they just know how to utilize it better than Sony does. But yeah, Starfield, the big beautiful game where I made a big beautiful woman, but there's nothing to fucking do in this game. Didn't Todd Howard, wasn't he like defending that? Well, it's just like real space, there's nothing out there. It's like, oh wow, great. Sounds like a lot of fun. But yeah, another relic shitty Bethesda game. The good thing about it being out is they can work on the Elder Scrolls. And yeah, I'm just not into like building shitty bases and shit. It's No Man's Sky, but at least from what I hear, that game like actually has shit to do. So yeah, pretty bad, pretty disappointing. Xbox, after all these years, they still need to get their shit together. Number one. Alright, so worst game of the year, it has to be the only new game I've ever spent like over $100 on. Day one, fucking Diablo 4, dude. I got caught up in the hype, especially because it came out like the same day as Street Fighter. But yeah, I hate that it always has to be online. I don't like the dodge compared to the roll that was in 3. Um, it is a nice looking game, I guess, but like the gameplay is just so fucking brain dead, dude. Just hold forward and hold R2. And the story's kind of cool, I guess, but like to me that can't carry the gameplay. And then like the shit you paid like extra for the battle pass or whatever, you don't even utilize that shit until you beat the campaign. So fuck that shit, dude. um, I don't know. Eventually, I guess it'll come out of early access and they'll make it interesting to play. But yeah, normally I pride myself on being like pretty savvy about my purchase. They got me on that one. So yeah, fuck you. Worst game of the year, Diablo 4. Here's to many more. Yeah, whatever. Alright, good shit.